Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. This is another War Room video, and you would notice that this is an odd video because it is the second upload of the day. Now this video is covering the destruction of the first Corp station. Now before I get to the juicy piece of information, let's have a little bit of a discussion on the Corp stations. When you deploy a Corp station, the first piece of information that I'm going to give you is never drop it in an obvious location. Now I know that might go for everybody as an easy way to just talk about things. Let me just look for a random system that's in the middle of nullsec. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm opening the solar system. Now if you were in the solar system, the difference would be that you would have a full access to all of the anomalies. You'd be able to see where the anomalies are placed. Now if I had to look at the system, I already can tell you this is a fantastic system for dropping a station. If I look at it, there's only one line where you can directly jump and drop, and everything else is on the 359 degrees of the warp points. So there's everywhere else for you to place a station besides that one corridor of space. Everything is very much in a straight line. If you look at it from this point of view, yeah, there you go. You can see everything lines up in just one orientation. So what you're going to do is go anywhere besides the straight line between two distances or between two points. This is going to allow you to drop a station anywhere else in the system. Now there are several methods to finding a good point to drop your station. Number one, look for anomalies that are far off from your original location, like the station in the system. If you find that there's no other the anomaly is like 80 k's away and it's not between you and the planet, then it's perfect. It's not between you and the sun, it's perfect. It's not between you and the gate, so you are 100% safe. You just have to choose that right angle to move at. And as you start looking around the system, you're going to find asteroid belts, you're going to find anomalies. All of these things are now scattered around the system. Let's say, for example, you have one that's 80 AU away from the nearest location. You go to location 1, it's an anomaly, small. You look at it, it says it's 110. You go to the next location, it says it's 80. 80 to 110 would put it somewhere out here in the middle of nowhere. It's at a very far angle. It's a very difficult to reach location. So you go in with your team, you clear the anomaly, and once the anomaly is cleared and disappears, you warp in your drop ship, in other words the ship that's going to drop your citadel, and you drop it in that location. Now the reason for dropping it in such an odd location is it's not a warp in point, so you don't have the 5,000 kilometer collision response. The second reason why you're going to drop it in the middle of a system like that where it's so far out is the burn time for 50 AU will be astronomical. They're not going to be able to just warp to your station location. If I had to jump into that system, I'm going to have to calculate where it was, and I am going to have to burn to it for weeks before I have a point close enough to your station to actually warp in a fleet. So if you plan it out correctly, and if you drop it with unexpected time, unexpected period, so nobody knows the exact time when it's going to anchor, you go through anchoring phase. In anchoring phase, if I'm correct, it might blimp onto the map in the station's location. But if it does, don't stress about it too much. It's just going to be there. It's going to be an ISO for 24 hours and it's going to disappear. Now, let's say, for example, it was a dead system, which is one of the best regions to use. Use a dead system, a dead end, which doesn't have anything in it besides a high level cap for anomalies. You go, you jump in, you drop your anomaly, and you move your ship out to that region. You drop it and you leave it alone. Now, nobody is going to be able to just instantly find it. It's in a very, very remote location. You just simply sit there with your corp station for the 24-hour anchoring. You just have to leave your device online. You take it, to plant it in a location where it's fully charged so that you stay online within a close enough range to your station. Now as the time ticks on, the station is going to set, and once anchoring is complete, your station is active. Now once it is active, you move in your weapons, you move in your mid slots, you move in your low slots, and you move in your fuel. The fuel is going to take you several long trips to actually do it. It's going to take a whole fleet in order to fuel up that station. Here's something to note about stations. About 42,000 to 52,000 plasmoids can keep a station running. But when a station is in full function, it is the main headquarters, the main location of function, that figure does increase drastically. The more processing that happens in that station, the higher the level of consumption of fuel. So let's say, for example, it becomes your industrial hub, your Corp station, you can expect that figure to be 10 times larger. So you'll need 400,000 plasmoids to run that station. So obviously, since plasmoids aren't the most economical, you can go for a smaller fuel. It may not be that large chunk, maybe one that goes one at a time, so that you can fill up your tank with it. Now once you have filled up the tank with that fuel, whichever fuel is the most economical for you to use for your station, you're safe, you're set. Any fuel will do. Plasmoids isn't the only fuel that you can use. You fuel up your station and you are now safe. You set it up, you go through everything. Remember, there are phases in the anchoring process. There's anchoring, there's powering stage, and then there's defense stages which it goes through for anchoring. Not anchoring, sorry, for reinforcement. Now make sure that you set your timers correctly. If you are going to be looking after your station, make sure that every day you reset it to 7 days later. So if you end up getting hit by a surprise attack, you can always prolong that defense so that you have time to get a good defense put together. Right, so those are all of the tips that I had for stations in this war room video before I actually went to show the defeat of that particular station. Now, when it comes to destroying a station, when you form up on your station, make sure that you are prepared for a large force. Now remember, with large forces comes the whole issue of lag, surprise on your gates, fleet movements. If you are ambushed, right, and that means you are stuck, you're gonna dock and undock. Don't do that there. It's a worthless trick. If you get disconnected, you're an easy kill. So what do you do in that case? You wait till one of your allies comes in and sets a rally point. Now, how do you set a rally point? Well, it's quite simple. They come in what you call a covert ops. They come 100 kilometers off your station. They move out to a perfect point, and now everybody starts undocking. When you undock, you're part of the fleet. You start forming up around this stealth bomber. He's going to kick one person out of his fleet after they've already joined in that location, and then you're going to start forming up your secondary fleets. So that is how you form up for the fight. Now that same stealth bomber is now going to move and drift forward to an attack point for you to rally for your defense. Remember, you will be taking your station down a level if you have this type of a situation. So if you are in a complete ambush in your original anchoring phase, you practically have lost your station. It is a massive handicap because number one, you have to undock. So then massive lag issue is going to hit you right off when you're jumping off from the station. The second issue you're going to run into is disconnects. Fleets are going to disconnect because there's a massive amount of damage going on all the time. So you want to move out to that safe location and start from there moving out. Obviously, with the whole idea of a safe location comes the issue of the ships you can use. Long range heavy hitters. So obviously large weapon ships are the best to use. So assault battle cruisers, they're going to be your primary function of that fight. Don't go about with the wrong vessels for those types of defense. Sorry, I'm laughing a little bit because I have seen people try to use frigates for defense of a station, and generally you only have about 20 kilometers range on them, and when they pair up against the wrong types of ships, they just instant targets. So I am going to get into that whole Corp station destruction. This is just a general overview on the Corp stations. I am actually making a series of tutorials for making a Corp station, anchoring a Corp station, and everything that goes with it. So there's going to be the complete breakdown on the materials again. Obviously, you've seen my previous video with the breakdown of materials required. That is going to be featured a little bit within that video. So you're going to get a quick shot of the book once more. You're also going to get a couple shots of how I explain where you should go to actually get your Corp dropped in the right location. I'm going to be going around through a few systems. I'm going to find the right system. I'm going to show you how you plot out your course, what you do to get your station in the right location. And obviously, since I can't maintain that location, I'll show you a little trick to get yourself exactly what you want for an easy defeat using your dropship to get you your drop point. So this is if you were solo. I will also show that trick. So if you were solo dropping a Corp station, you didn't want anybody in your Corp to know where it was, I will show you the trick to do it in that series. Now you can expect that series over the next week. It's going to be a short tutorial and long tutorials. It's going to be one of my new tutorials for Corps. So there is one thing that you're going to see in the next few days. All right, let's go and look at this big image. It's one of the biggest images in the game. I hate when my gallery does that. And here we go. This is the Corp station that was destroyed. Obviously, by the emblem, you know which Corp it is. Now, here's exactly where it was placed. It was placed directly on a sun. So, in other words, it was within that 5AU easy detectable region. So, all you had to do was open your overview and look under stations, you would have found it. It was that easy to find the station. So, within 5AUs, all stations show up on your overview. So, if you are hunting for an enemy Corp station, you have to be within 5AU of it in order for it to show up. And once you have reached that point, that's when you start fleeting up, get your entire fleet together, get your stealth bomber in place, and then you rally your attack fleet. Now, in this case, they didn't have to go through all of that trouble. They didn't have to hunt for the station first. So it was a very easy fight for them to gather up allies and attack. And it also made the rallying resistance very difficult because it was very close to a major warping point. The lag on that particular area would have been quite heavy due to the fact that it's loading the massive graphic of a sun or a planetary body. Since it was directly off the sun, it was going to load the graphic. So that instantly gave them a lag factor, and when they were undocking, they have double the lag as someone who just warped into the area, because your system generates everything ahead of you arriving, and when you arrive, everything is open for you because it's distance in, it's a sandbox. And when you're coming out of the station, you're changing locations basically, so that's how come they experience more lag jumping out of the station. So there was all of the key issues around the station to note for the start. Now, what happened in this year was DP, along with 3 of their allies, gathered together a massive force. Their force was really large considering that it was DP. And they directly attacked the station. They took out a massive fleet. I believe there's a video on YouTube from another YouTuber who actually gives a complete rundown on how many ships were destroyed, how many players lost ships. Everything was run down. Plus, he has the full image with all 372 pilots who took part in the direct destruction of the station. So that is everything you need to know. Now, the value of the station, I'm not 100% sure if it's still correct. I remember on the test server, I went through and I looked at the blueprints. If the figures have changed, obviously there's going to be a slight dispute between my original values and the current values. I will redo the sheet, obviously, if that is the case. And once I am done with it, I'll give you the correct value for the station. Now, in consideration for all of the things that go into that station, this station is the first of the major losses that we know of. There might have been other losses. I am not stealing it from you. If you are a Corp that has destroyed the first station, if it predates this, all you've got to do is send the kill shot of the Corp station. This is one of the only times that I'm showing a Discord message. And the reason is quite simple. Nobody's name is included in the shot, nobody's information, and there's nothing else to really give away who gave the shot. So nobody can be shamed or blamed for the particular shot of this destruction. And it is widespread news. It's on Twitter, Reddit, it's on YouTube already. So I have no reason to worry about this information going any further. So here we go. This Corp station was, as I said, on the sun. Easy target, caught off guard. They managed to play the lag in their favor. Understand that lag in your favor doesn't mean that you're cheating. It just means that you were smarter about your assault. That's all there is to it. The lag favored them plus they had the numbers in the fight. They had an overwhelming fleet. I remember seeing shots of there being nightmares, Macarials, rattlesnakes. A whole army of high-end ships were taking part in the main combat. So that was one of the major hits to the enemy forces. The Corp station itself, I did not see it fire, so I'm suspecting that they didn't equip it with weapons. So one of the major vulnerabilities of the station is if it doesn't have weapons, it generally doesn't guard that well. Okay, 1, 2, 3 listed. Everything here is complete as far as I'm concerned. So yes, that was the whole story that happened with the loss of the station. That's all I'm covering on that station loss. Okay, looks like my game reloaded. So those are the basics for when it comes to station losses and the way that station was lost. Now, for the future, we're going to see more intense fights. We're going to see people deploy the high-end strategies. And in the next few days, you're going to get the first of the series, which is going to give you the Corp stations. Now, they are my collaboration series, and they are a little bit more difficult to complete than the simple series on the stations. And when I say simple, remember, I've been messing with stations for as long as I can remember. From the time when they first became available to us with T6, I've been messing around with them. I've been messing around with formats. The formats that I used to like to run were triple and quadruple stations because of that overwhelming force from the station. And now that that is gone from the ability to use in the format, obviously it makes a massive difference to overall gameplay. Okay, now I hope that you have enjoyed. That was the story of how come that station was destroyed. Obviously, it's nothing to do with anybody's ineffectiveness to fight. It was just that the station was in a very weird point. And for the future, you're going to see players, you're going to see people actually running these massive long journeys, like 6-7 weeks to drop a Corp station. And that is for the safety aspect of the station. Let's say, for example, I decide I wanted to drop a Corp station just for the sake of it, just for fun. Even if it was in high sec, I would purposefully choose an area with an anomaly that is at least 80 AU away from the nearest body. One of the easiest ways to do it is to open your overview and overview everything. When your closest search on the top is more than 80 AU, okay, if it isn't 80 AU, these are the things that you can allow to be very close to it. Asteroid belts, anomalies. If anything else is under 80 AU, don't deploy it. It's quite easy to get, right? If someone jumps to a point that's 20 AU away from you, say for example an asteroid belt, and they try to burn towards your station, let me just tell you exactly what a long shot it is. From all the possible angles in that system, they have to hit that perfect angle so that they don't drift away from your station. Let's say for example they're 5 degrees off. 5 degrees off in that entire channel might make them 3.5 AU away from your station, right? So that's a massive distance. Let's say that it was more. Let's say that it was a 30 or 40 degree off location. They're never going to find it because at this point they reach 6 and 7 AU away from your station at their closest burning point. Once they've burned past it by 12, 13 AU, they've literally wasted a week looking for your station. And you've won, because it's going to take them almost 2 weeks to finally get to the point where your station is. As I said, 20 AU, it's not that small of a distance. And it's over, they have to restart their entire long trip. And the chance of them getting that same location is almost zero, because generally those spawns are going to move around a little bit. They're going to drift down, they're going to drift up. They're going to stay away from your station because your station has an anti-spawn zone around it, which is greater than 5 AU. So you can't find an anomaly within 5 AU of your station, if I'm correct. Or if I'm incorrect, you can find one. In that case, it makes the whole spawn issue very, very weird and very difficult to hold off. I'm pretty sure that they can't spawn next to Capsuleer stations and Corp stations. So in consideration of all that I have just said, remember those are things you can use to your advantage when it comes to playing the game. If you do take the advantage of a Corp station, remember, make sure that it always has weapons. Make sure that the mid slots are all on. That neutralizer, the Webifier, and the disruptor can save you ships. Remember, they may be expensive in terms of the drain when it comes to a fight, but if you have a ship on the grid and it manages to Webify another ship and your Corp station Webifies and disrupts them, you save your fleet needing points on that ship. And you can hit it with Corp weapons at that point because it's so slow that it can't negate the damage. And one hit from your Corp is 8,000 DPS in a single shot. Not DPS, obviously, 8,000 for a single shot. That shot paired with your entire fleet can lead you to that edge on a nightmare. It can lead you to that edge on a fleet of Nagas or Oracles or Destroyers. And that is the thing. You want that little edge, that small little edge of 8,000 damage to carry you all the way through. Plus the amount of effect that you get from its Webifier is unbelievably huge. You don't want to ever mess with that ability. You want to have it no matter what. It gives you a big impact when it comes to someone trying to take on your station. Your station may be stationary, so you don't have that objective checking speed. The large weapons have the firepower. That's where you want it. Those are all of the hints that I can give you for your Corp stations. And you will get a full series on the domination tutorial from me. I hope that you all did enjoy. Thank you all for watching.